The Odyssey. Dare I say one of my most anticipated movies of 2026? I was massively excited for this movie as the hype built up around it. Christopher Nolan puts every bit of his human work into creating a historical epic, and it's pretty much safe to say that he simply doesn't miss. The first two also be shot entirely on IMAX's 70mm film cameras. This is a near flawless Christopher Nolan epic, and not because of how epic it looks and feels, but because it embarrasses the classic technology of cinema and offers potent lead roles that range from Matt Damon to so much more. In a surprising turn of events, Christopher Nolan beats out Spielberg as Director of the Year. While Spielberg is the overall better director due to directing some of my most favourite movies of all time, Christopher Nolan beats him out soundlessly here, simply because of Disclosure Day, which was just okay, but nothing else. But in all seriousness, this film looks like it actually had effort placed into it, which also acts like the filmmakers cared a lot about it, so it feels almost complete with its runtime. So, how does Christopher Nolan ensure his place as one of cinema's greatest directors with this epic? Why does it play a key role in its faithfulness as well as the departure from its source material? And what impressive technology does it bring to the modern day cinema table? In today's movie review, I'll be talking about the historical epic directed by Nolan himself, The Odyssey. Let's see how it not only defies the gods, but also how it defies every single internet troll on social media. Starting with, some of the film's performances are absolutely peak, having some of my all-time favourite stars with some unknown faces. First is Matt Damon, who was also already one of my most favourite actors of all time, turned into an award-worthy performance. He plays Odysseus in a way that I wouldn't have expected from him. He's not just a mythical warrior, but also a flawed battle trickster with trauma, pride, and the heavy weight that ensures his men's survival. Then there's also his son, who is played by Tom Holland, Telemachus. His performance is a strong emotional anchor to the Odysseus family storytelling, showcasing the legacy of family loyalty and intense rise of the political siege. All this can also be said for Anne Hathaway's performance as Penelope, with some character development that makes her memorable on screen, and the rest of the ensemble cast is filled with beloved stars in roles that make them powerful and amazing, with a shockingly great Robert Pattinson performance that has a hate him so much I like him type of approach. Up next is the film's absolutely great storytelling, but it's done very uniquely here. Instead of solely relying on Homer's classic source material, Nolan uses his own type of filmmaking that adds great depth to the film, so think of it as like in a way of his other recently directed movies like Oppenheimer, Dunkirk, and so much more. It mixes in multiple timelines to help bring the full story together, with the Odysseus story being mostly set in the past, with him eventually reaching the start of the film's narrative, while the Penelope and Telemachus story is set in the present and also during Odysseus' journey to reunite with them. It also combines the memory-driven Trojan War and also the long journey of the ocean battle. It's like the acts or chapters in and of themselves, helping viewers concentrate on the story like you're reading them in person but on the big screen. It definitely mirrors the non-chronological moments of Homer's original poem, making the experience much less complex. Being a Christopher Nolan production means you need some of the greatest visual execution ever made with the visuals, CGI effects, etc. Since it's the first film to be shot entirely on IMAX's 70mm cameras, it makes absolutely good use of its wonderful cinematography coming straight to life. Seeing all the locations like Greece, Scotland, and Morocco in this format is unreal. The production is also insane, adding some intense feels to the surrounding environment like the oceans, the gritty ancient warfare, and the practical set pieces on the towering creatures. That's something I also really appreciate in this film, is that it uses practical effects. With the scene of Circe, the goddess and witch of the island of Aoa, turning Odysseus' men into pigs, you can clearly see the practical effects being used very well here, embracing the old filming technology used in the 80s. The immense world building helps give the film some very grounded and heavy weight for how epic it is. Alongside the epic grand scale of the film's historical vibe, the film also uses some flawless sound design. In addition to that, the epic sounding music score. Ludwig Göransson, who returns to do the music score after doing Christopher Nolan's other recently produced movie, Oppenheimer, helps keep the tonal balance of this movie, using some epic orchestral music score and also blending in the suspenseful tone that makes it feel intense, epic and surreal, especially if you're seeing it on screen. To help surround it and give the film a surreal vibe, the sound mixing is perfect all around, building a massive tension, especially with how it matches the intense, epic, atmospheric set pieces with the monsters and how they're portrayed, as well as the sirens' calls, ocean tempests, the battle sequences, and more. It really makes it feel like a historical tale comes straight to life whilst not also sacrificing its charm in the storytelling. It feels so epic, intense, and surreal, which is pretty much the book in a nutshell. Lastly, the genre mixing helps maximize the film's massive potential. There are plenty of mixed elements from other types of historical elements, given how Nolan uses the source material so flawlessly. It mixes those already feeling epics and uses the combined elements of the Troy and the Trojan horse, which shows the full character of Odysseus. The genres mixed include action, adventure, fantasy, and drama, and there are even some good elements of horror used in some scenes, capturing the flawless practical effects to showcase the gods and the terrifying scale as they tower over Odysseus and his men. With how they are all combined together, it makes it feel like not your average Christopher Nolan epic done by him, given more in-depth detail to its massive scope. Other historical films have tried this, but only come off with action and an epic scale feeling. This one swats away from it and makes itself a home with all on the table. Despite how amazing and epic this movie was, there was something about it that made it feel a bit slow at times. That was its average dialogue, including the thin secondary characters. While the main cast is great, a few important ones are sidelined with minimal screen time, Zendaya's Anthena being a great example. The film needs to stop at times to focus on one main character after another, which can make it a bit sluggish. The dialogue was also thin, having used some thin dialogue from modern films to explain the epic historical gods, which can make it feel a bit more of a simplistic dialogue rather than being very compelling. This is a small insight that I see on small occasions, but that doesn't take it away from still being the same old Christopher Nolan epic, all done and produced by his amazing, massive budgeted team. The Odyssey is an IMAX-worthy experience that deserves all of its critical and commercial success. Christopher Nolan simply never misses. He uses some absolute peak lead performances, some perfectly executed visual style, great special effects, especially the practical ones, flawless edit, epic set pieces, outstanding music score, realistic sound design, and very thought-provoking themes. Though it still suffers from the same wooden dialogue that most films running at 3 hours long most famously fight with, it still swats itself away and ends up becoming a historical epic done none other by Christopher Nolan, who, like I said before, doesn't miss. We all know just how peak a director Nolan is, and he brings his award-worthy work and turns it into Avatar-level massive storytelling that's both compelling and exciting. I'm sure most directors are going to have to take notes from this movie when they are decided to create another IMAX-worthy experience, which could also use some IMAX technology. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is a career high for this epic director that's both compelling and also worthy of an IMAX experience, so get there to the cinemas if you haven't seen it already. As I said, Christopher Nolan, and Matt Damon too, simply never misses. A potent epic that stays true to the spirit of Homer's historic tale, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey carries action spectacle with colossal human drama, completely defying all the gods. My final score for this historical epic is a 9.5 out of 10 and a grade S. While still not a perfect movie, it's still an incredible one and has loads of entertainment from start to finish. Christopher Nolan is one of my favourite film directors. Matt Damon is one of my favourite film actors. Action is always my thing. Combine all of those three together and you've got a monster. I don't think I can say so much more, as you need to have seen this on an IMAX format to get the true massive experience. Simply incredible. But with that being said, leave a like on this video if you guys did enjoy my review on the Odyssey, and also remember to subscribe if you are new and hit that bell icon to see more content on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Take care of yourselves.